let's get to Trump declaring the Iran hostilities terminated as gas prices rise.
When Iran passes the 60-day mark, President Trump claims hostilities with Iran have been terminated so he can bypass the legal deadline that requires the president to seek congressional approval to continue military action. The president making the declaration in a letter to Congress, but undercutting his own argument just hours later.
You know, we're in a war because I think you would agree we cannot.
To the first-time chatter who said you should leave the U.S. if you hate it so much. I don't like the current government, okay? I don't like many of the previous governments either. That doesn't mean I dislike the people, okay? Especially because if I hated the United States of America and wanted it to perish, then I would be a Republican, okay? Now, you might think you love America, but if you vote for the Republican Party, or if you vote for these right-wing Democrats as well, you're basically accelerating America's demise, and you're harming both yourself, your loved ones, and Americans all around the country. Okay? If I hated America, I would love the current American government. If I hated Americans, I would love the idea that is resilient in the American political class that Americans don't deserve free health care. Okay? So I always find it funny whenever people go, oh, dude, you hate America. Why don't you leave America? It's like, brother, I don't think you understand. I want you to have health care. I want you to have free college. I want there not to be any homelessness in the streets. I want our drug problems to be solved. Okay? How can you say that I hate America, and especially Americans too, if I want these sorts of things? These guys don't. And it's really funny because Republicans will openly admit they don't want those things. Problem is, of course, because we're so goddamn propagandized, because we're so fucking propagandized, we think, yeah, the people that are telling us that we don't deserve more are the ones that actually love America, and the people telling us we do deserve more absolutely hate it.
Not let lunatics have a nuclear weapon.
The Strait of Hormuz remains closed, triggering a global energy crisis and the highest gas prices in 4 years. The U.S. naval blockade is in full force, more than 20 U.S. warships and 50,000 American troops in the region. Under international law, a blockade is an act of war. And with peace talks stalled, Trump now warning Iran has two options.
Do we want to go and just blast the hell out of him and finish him forever, or do we want to try and make a deal?
Yeah. He's so nice that he could press that button any moment, but he just simply hasn't. Or perhaps he tried to press that button over and over again and found out that it doesn't actually work. I don't know. Maybe that's why we're in this current quagmire.
Those are the options.
Iranian state media reports Tehran has sent a new proposal to the U.S., but Trump says he's not satisfied with it.
So they want to make a deal, but we just had a conversation with Iran. Let's see what happens. But I would say that I am not happy.
This as a new ABC News Washington Ipsos poll finds that 61% of Americans think U.S. military action against Iran was a mistake, and just 36% think it was the right thing to do. And with gas prices surging, that poll shows over 4 in 10 Americans have cut back on driving or cut other household expenses because of high gas prices.
Now I try to drive a little less. I cut down on groceries a little bit.
Every time I fill up, it's an extra $20 tax.
I've never paid this much for gas in my entire life.
And overnight, a major new development. The Pentagon announced that the U.S. plans to withdraw 5,000 troops from Germany over the next 6 to 12 months. It comes as President Trump has been blasting our NATO allies for not getting directly involved in this war with Iran, and after a public clash with the German chancellor, who criticized the Trump administration's handling of the war, saying, quote, the Americans clearly have no strategy. Whit.
All right, Selena Wang for us. We appreciate it.
The US numero uno laid another wild card late last.
This is awesome. I mean, I personally find this to be very funny. I'm sure that like NATO Atlanticists are freaking the fuck out about this, but Donald Trump got so mad that Friedrich Merz, for once, remembered that, you know, he has certain responsibilities or at least remembered he had a fucking brain, and turned around and said, what America's doing in Iran is actually unbelievably stupid, and what America's doing in Iran is really hurting both America, accelerating its demise, and even hurting its allies, such as ourselves in Germany, right? The one time where he offered a little bit of pushback, and Donald Trump's like, well, guess what? We're withdrawing 5,000 troops from Germany to, I guess, somehow punish Germany, because Germany is not involving itself in our unbelievably stupid military conquest over Iran that has been a failure, which Merz said was humiliating for America. He said the United States is being humiliated by Iran due to the actions that it's taken. Now America's saying, okay, no more military occupation of Germany? Oh no. Oh no. Germany might have a semblance, a crumb of autonomy. Oh no. What will Germany do? Okay. What will Germany do? Perhaps maybe our German socialist comrades can take advantage of this moment for once in their lives and organize around this to be like, yes, this is great. Please keep it going. Keep up the movement. This is good. This is good for a better utilization of American resources. This is good for Germany to develop some semblance of autonomy and sovereignty. Not that it's going to happen regardless, but it's a good thing. Good job, Trump. Keep it going. More of this, please. I am in favor of this.
Night. Shortly before this post, Trump ordered thousands of US troops out of Germany in a spat. And despite growing pressure to reach a lasting deal with Iran, he sees little reason to fold, rejecting Tehran's latest proposal to end tensions.
They're not coming through with the kind of deal that we have to have, and
Merz is one of the most unpopular PMs, and the cooked SPD are in still coalition with him after being super unpopular themselves before. They're cooked. Die Linke is nothing. I know, it's very disappointing. AFD is going to be elected in the next elections. I hope not, but ironically enough, the one party that is like spiritually MAGA is the AFD, and they're the ones who are actually demanding that the American military withdraw from Germany. So it's again a huge issue for there not to be loud anti-imperialist German leftist voices in this goddamn country. Because like American military withdrawal from Germany is not a bad thing. Okay, it's not a bad thing at all. Unless it's being shepherded by Nazis like the AFD, okay? And the problem is they are the ones who are championing this movement. They're the ones who have openly championed this initiative, and now they're going to look victorious. AFD leader, lesbian, far-right woman dating Sri Lankan. She also lives in Switzerland and opposes gay marriage. She's anti-immigrant too. What a character. I mean, that's the reason why all this identity stuff is just like totally irrelevant. It's totally secondary. It's just optics. I know. Okay. I mean, Candace Owens was, and still is in many respects, one of the most outspoken white supremacists in the country. Who gives a shit about your background, right? Like, your background only matters as much as your lived experience and how that has contributed to your advocacy. Trita Parsi's take on Merz. Germany's Merz welcomed Israel's attack on Iran in June 2025 and said Israel was doing Europe's dirty work. He welcomed Trump's war on Iran in February and dismissed its illegality. Now, as a rat jumping off a sinking ship, he claims he always had doubts about the war. The Germany that proudly stood against the Iraq war in 2003 is long gone. The German government has turned Germany into a vassal of the United States. Of course, Trita is still, I think Trita doesn't go as hard as I do, obviously. He's at the Quincy Institute. Quincy Institute, I would say, is one of the only think tanks that's like anti-war in Washington, D.C. But even then, it's not an anti-imperialist think tank, of course. I mean, far more radical than the average Washington foreign policy think tank, make no mistake. And I really appreciate their existence. But the reason why I bring up this difference in opinion is because Germany has been a vassal of the United States of America since World War II ended, West Germany specifically, and now all of Germany. So, it's not a new phenomena at all. It's just gotten worse over the years. But this vassal wants its cake and to eat it too. Benefit from America's wars if they go well, while washing its hands of the war if they go badly. This is why America should refrain from turning once good allies into vassals. It benefits neither in the long run. AFD politicians also farming sympathy by criticizing Israel before any other party, even if it's out of anti-Semitism more than anything else, but in a vacuum where nobody ever raises their voice. Yeah. Yeah. Merz lek Eier. What is that? What's Eier? Ear? Eier? Yeah. Oh, balls. Oh, testicles. Ja, jawohl. Ja. Jawohl. Merz, he is always licking the Eier. Oh, yeah. Testicles. Always. Ja.
Nein, ganz und gar nicht.
Look at how bald he is. Ja. I can't believe it. Oh mein Gott, ich kann nicht glauben. Merz. You are the baldest man in Europe.
Going to get this thing done properly. We're not going to leave early and then have the problem arise in 3 more years.
مذاکره.
You can get dragged to court for this in Germany. Well, good thing I live in the United States of America, which hasn't turned fully into the vassal status that Germany is, both a vassal to Israel and also to the United States of America, which is crazy.
Negotiations are not about us accepting what they dictate, not about us accepting what they want to impose with threats. This is not negotiation. This is the acceptance of an imposition.
Trump says he holds all the cards, but some European allies say he's got nothing to play. This was the German Chancellor earlier this week.
Ich erkenne im Augenblick nicht, welchen strategischen Exit.
I cannot see what strategic exits the Americans are now opting for, especially as the Iranians are obviously negotiating very skillfully, or rather very skillfully not negotiating. An entire nation.
It's a very well-known meme because there was a minor student protester who demonstrated with a paper shield that said Merslik Ayer, who got arrested. In Germany, you'd be in jail for real, for real? No, the fuck I wouldn't. I don't think they would.
Is being humiliated by the Iranian state leadership.
3, 2, 1, go!
In a punishment for those remarks, the US has now announced it'll be withdrawing 5,000 US troops stationed in Germany. And when asked if other European allies might face the same, Trump said,
Yeah, I probably will. Why should I? Look, why shouldn't I?
Dude, I first of all, in Germany, I would probably go to jail far before my thoughts on Merz for what I say with regular frequency on Israel. I actually do wonder what it will look like eventually when I do travel to Europe, because Europe obviously doesn't have the same standards on free speech. A lot of European countries, especially when it comes to the Israel issue, are unbelievably restrictive. So I do think about that. Like, I wonder if I was like going to Germany now that you have like these congressional condemnations and whatnot. I wonder if like Germany would try to restrict my travel. I haven't even thought about it. Imagine Germany intercepts my flight before Benjamin Netanyahu's to be like, you can't be on German airspace. You are not allowed on the Deutschland airspace, yeah. How dare you? You are the war criminal. You are the most dangerous war criminal, yeah. Yes, we will do the sanctions on you rather than the sanctions on Benjamin Netanyahu, who is a good man. He's good. Sehr good. Yeah, they've denied Yanis Varoufakis entry into the country, so I don't think it's that shocking that they would do a similar thing to me as well. America will invade Hague to rescue you? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Some states want to pass a law that can give you up to 5 years for denying Israel's right to exist, buddy. You don't know that vibe we have here, buddy? No, I do know. I am very familiar with the insane restrictions that are coming out of different European countries, specifically around protecting Israel's feelings.
Italy has not been of any help to us. And Spain has been horrible.
60 days in and the cracks are showing at home too. It's after this time period, by law, a US president must receive approval from Congress or cease hostilities. Some within Trump's own party had said they might need to reconsider their support after 60 days. The Trump administration is...
Why don't you go to Israel? You'll be arrested but bring way more attention and emotion to yourself. Dude, do you think I'm suicidal? I want to let it be known. I am not suicidal in any way, shape, or form. I am not depressed. I don't have any free weights in the home. Okay. I do not have any weapons in the home. Okay. Like what? I'm not doing this for self-promotion. And not only that, but also all of this ends, at least for me, if I go to Israel and die. Okay? Are you Mossad chatter? You're like, come to Israel. We will treat you very good. Come to Israel, please. Why don't you go to Israel? It's a tiny nation, surrounded by scary countries. Come to Israel. See, it's bad neighborhood. It's size of New Jersey. It's fine. Come to Israel. They will just arrest you and then it will boost your profile.
is arguing the rule doesn't apply as the war in Iran ended with the ceasefire in early April.
The administration has been undertaking hostilities or the threat of hostilities throughout the ceasefire period by implementing a blockade of Iranian ports. That in and of itself means that the War Powers Resolution clock, even under the administration's own theory, shouldn't have paused or terminated.
And this is what that ceasefire looks like in Lebanon. The Israeli military released this video showing what they claim is the targeting of positions belonging to the militant group Hezbollah in the south. Israeli soldiers...
This is actually a really interesting take. Erdogan style, we're a proud vassal, but we have to act as if we hate the USA in front of cameras. We'll be huge in Europe the next decade. I'm stealing that take. Ihya oldum. Yeah. I think most countries are actually Turkifying. The United States of America is obviously Turkifying. And some might say Erdogan just basically stole Vladimir Putin's shtick to begin with, right? But I do think that there's only two different modes now. You have, Chinese-style governance, right? You have Chinese-style governance that has its short sides, but many benefits as well. And then you have in liberal capitalist countries, you will see more and more of this Turkification. Erdogan-style governance, Viktor Orban, which, was obviously taken out. So there is a little bit of hope there. But like a Vladimir Putin style form of governance where it's like free market capitalism, but it's actually not. It's just a kleptocracy where there's unilateral control over the economy. It's a command economy that is pro-capitalist oligarch, that is friendly with the administration, that stays in power for decades and decades. Very interesting formation that is taking shape. Now, Europe hasn't done that. I'll admit, Europe's parliamentary system has not done that. Europe has a social democracy that's crippling, right? However, what Merz is doing here does remind me of Erdogan a little bit, where you posture as though you're very against American movements, as though you're, antagonistic to the state in broad daylight, in public, but you're actually a happy vassal regardless. And that's what Erdogan has done. That's how he's maintained his power as well. There are moments where he can actually even demand more from America, get certain liberties, right? Look into Hussein Doğru. Bro, I know. I have covered Hussein Doğru. Okay? I have. I don't know what's wrong with you. For the love of Allah, please look up Hussein Doğru and what the German state did to him. Yes, they declared him stateless. He's locked under a de facto house arrest. They took away his credit cards. I know. I'm very familiar with Hussein Doğru. I've covered it before many times, as a matter of fact. Okay? Please stop spamming. Yes, Hüseyin Doğru, head of Red Media, was basically declared stateless. He can't even fucking travel. His family can't even bank in Europe. It's like EU imposed sanctions. Open Presence is back. Never here to judge you. Appreciate your analytical takes more than any other. Open Presence, where you been, dude? As soon as Qatar started getting bombed, you went away. It freaked us out a little bit. This man used to drop Restream. What does that mean? This man used to drop like hundo bombs multiple times throughout the fucking day, and then he just went away. One day he vanished. When the world needed him the most, he vanished. Yeah, Open Presence was the primary funder of the People's Broadcasting Service. It's odd. It's odd that once the Strait of Hormuz closed, so did the gifted subs. Oh, Red Stream, not Red Media. Sorry, Red Stream. Time abroad, time to touch grass. Abroad. Abroad where? In the Gulf, maybe? In the Gulf, perhaps? Interesting.
Plant their flag on the pitch of a football stadium in one of the many Lebanese border towns they've destroyed. Less than an hour's drive away in the city
Open
of
Press with a 100 bomb. He's back.
This hospital is struggling to treat the high number.
It turns out Open Presence was Open Hormuz. The present was Hormuz all along. The Strait of Hormuz. Now that the Strait of Hormuz is open, once again, the Iran war is terminated, according to Donald Trump. My man was sitting on a tanker. And now that the tanker can transit through the strait, he's back.
Numbers of wounded civilians. Sana survived an Israeli drone. Her legs did not.
In the morning, my husband, my daughter, my son-in-law and I went out to work in a banana plantation. At around 10 o'clock, we were hit by a drone. It knocked us off our feet and I lost my consciousness.
On the ground today, the ceasefire Trump points to looks increasingly fragile. Israel and Iranian-backed Hezbollah are still trading fire. And with US-Iran talks stalled, what hope is there of ending the violence here?
Well, I'm joined now by Aaron David Miller, who's a senior fellow at the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace and a former State Department diplomat who spent years negotiating for peace in the Middle East. Thank you so much for joining us. I wanted to start by asking you about these comments made by both sides in the last 24 hours. Trump saying he's unsatisfied by the progress, an Iranian official warning that renewed fighting was likely. What do you make of where we're at?
I think we're nowhere. I think both sides still believe time is on their side, although I suspect the Iranian clock is ticking much more slowly than Trump's. I think both sides believe they still have an escalatory dimension that they can add to this campaign. And right now, of all the possible outcomes, the blockade causing the Iranian regime to capitulate or become more compliant, an increase in kinetic activity, more military strikes by the United States, or negotiations, those three options, I don't see any of them being seriously tethered to an end to this war. We're now in the third month. This coming week will be the third month of this war, and it should.
Yes, Devin Burns, I have checked your logs, and yes, I am familiar with what's going on in Mali. I haven't had time to cover it on the broadcast.
There's no signs of what normal humans would regard an end to the conflict.
In terms of the US, do you...
Yeah, okay, listen, whenever... Oh, God. It has been kind of funny. It has been kind of funny watching American analysts, like pro-American imperialism people, like just those who want the continuation of American empire to withstand this self-imposed idiocy, are actively coping. One of the most insane versions of cope is actually a very old trope that America always utilizes. I saw this last night on CNN with Caitlin Collins. I don't know if you guys saw it as well. They were pulling off the oldest trick in the book. Oh, they're using dolphins. They have militarized dolphins. Okay. Look at this. Look at this. Here, we got to watch this real quick before we get back to the other analysts being like, well, both sides are looking at their escalatory ladder and how far up they can go.
Have them go dark and still deliver that oil to China. I mean, there's a physical blockade. They literally cannot do that right now.
This is a physical blockade. They're not able to send their oil and the resources to China, and a vast majority of their oil exports were going via sea. To give you a sign of the desperate measures they're contemplating, the Wall Street Journal reported today that they're contemplating measures like suicide dolphins, dolphins equipped with mines.
Bro, this is... Oh. Why do they always do this? Why does a foreign policy guy, every single country that we have ever fought against, there is always a foreign policy guy that will go on mainstream news and sincerely say that they're deploying kamikaze dolphins. We did this with Russia, okay? I'm sure there's there's got to be someone who has seen this before. I can't be alone in this, right? Like in the age of loitering munitions, in the age of like drone warfare, okay, both underwater and also in the air, why would anyone try to train tactical dolphins? It makes no sense. We've claimed that North Korea has done this. We've claimed that Russia has done this. I'm sure at some point they might have even claimed China has done this, okay? The irony, of course, is we have attempted this. That's not even a joke. Oh, here's Mike Benz, yeah. Annual reminder that every time we go to war, we accuse the other side of having weaponized attack dolphins. People forget how big the media surround sound was on the threat of Russian militarized dolphins above, NPR and NBC, below, Politico, Newsweek, The Guardian, USA Today. Russia boosts dolphin patrols to protect Crimea naval base. Russia deploys combat dolphins to Black Sea frontline. Combat dolphins. Combat dolphins everywhere. It's so stupid, and I don't know why they do it. The U.S. intelligence community has now spread the story in different years that Russia, China, and Iran use dolphins for suicide missions. Always the same script. Only the name of country changes. For the Hollywood-addled brain of the American public, maybe a good script. What do I know? I don't know why they do this. I genuinely don't understand why they do this. Because, for the record, we have tried it, and it's failed. Okay? America sincerely tried to do this. Okay? Military marine mammal has been trained by the United States. Examples include bottlenose dolphins, seals, sea lions, beluga whales. The United States and Soviet militaries have trained and employed oceanic dolphins for various uses. Okay? Yeah, Ukrainian Navy dolphins, U.S. trained dolphins and sea lions under the U.S. Navy Marine Mammal Program, which is based in San Diego, California. This is a real thing. Has tried to deploy these dolphins, beluga whales, and things like that for military purpose. It doesn't make any sense. I don't understand it. I don't know why they keep saying that this is the case, because it's so not cost effective. It's so stupid. We already have the Orca program in the United States of America. We already have underwater unmanned drones that we have developed and are utilizing. So does Iran. Iran has torpedo-style drones that they can deploy and have deployed. There is no use or need for an unbelievably costly endeavor such as this one with zero upside and no guarantees whatsoever.
Kamikaze dolphins. The Persians want to strap mines to dolphins to weaponize the strait. Don't tell PETA.
Ugh. It's just so stupid. Like, there's no guarantee that a dolphin is going to listen to the commands, okay?
These rogues are desperate. The blockade's already forced 45 ships to do a 180. And now the Pentagon is using AI to hunt down Iranian mines. The president says it's basically already over.
The blockade has been unbelievable, powerful, 100%. It's been actually unbelievable. If we left right now, we had a great victory, but we're not doing that.
The Pentagon says the blockade's already cost the Iranians $5 billion. And inflation is so high, it'd make Biden blush. Kamikaze dolphins. The Persians want to strap mines to dolphins to weaponize the strait. Don't tell PETA. These rogues are desperate. The blockade's already forced 45 ships to do a 180. And now the Pentagon is using AI to hunt down Iranian mines. The president says it's basically already over.
The blockade has been unbelievable, powerful, 100%. It's been actually unbelievable. If we left right now, we had a great victory.
My uncle unironically did dolphin demolitions 30 years ago in our Navy. Yes, it's been attempted. It's definitely a real thing. It's just there's no evidence that Iran has even trained dolphins, and certainly no evidence that Iran is currently using dolphins in this conflict, in this iteration of the conflict in the Strait of Hormuz. And it also doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to use dolphins in the age of drone warfare. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that it's just like an unbelievably stupid point of propaganda that Americans love deploying for some strange reason. I don't know if it's to like tie the foreign adversary to like animal cruelty or something. Like I don't know what galvanizing purpose this serves, right? Because obviously when the American mainstream media chooses to advance a certain narrative, there's obviously a purpose behind it. It's never to, especially when it comes to foreign entanglements, it's never to like say the truth. It serves some kind of State Department purpose, right? It's propaganda. So sometimes it can be truthful, but in many instances, it's a massaging of the truth, or it's just an outright fabrication. In this circumstance, it's an outright fabrication, and I don't know what the purpose of it is. I guess it's to like ridicule the enemy, to say like, oh, they're humiliated. They've been destroyed so thoroughly, so sufficiently that they're like deploying this last ditch effort by strapping C4 onto a dolphin or something, right?
To try to go after U.S. ships. So that's not a measure which projects real strength.
Wait, I'm sorry. You have to, how would that even work?
So this has been discussed in the past by the Iranian regime that, you know,
they want to strap bombs to dolphins.
To dolphins with
even Caitlin Collins was like, yeah, I don't know if that's real.
Mines to go after U.S. ships. Now, that's a pretty crazy asymmetric tool, but this is some of the measures that are being reported right now.
I mean, do you think?
Yeah, reported by you and your source. Oh, I just made it up. My source, you say? It's my ass. I pulled it out of my ass.
That they could actually try. If they actually tried that, what would that say about their desperation?
Well, this is something that they've thrown out in the past to show the various options they have at their disposal. But again, this is not a show of a country which is strong. You don't contemplate those kinds of measures when you're strong.
My source, Mohammed Al-Dolphin. Yeah. But it is always funny when they roll out this this hilarious line of propaganda, okay? And that's where we're at. We're at the dolphin stage of American propaganda. Now let's get back to this guy who's doing at least like cope but more normal. Like, oh yeah, both sides have cards to play still, but they haven't played them. This is the intellectual version of what Donald Trump says, okay? When Donald Trump goes on television and says, we could destroy Iran militarily, but we're choosing not to. We're just waiting. We're waiting for a better deal. That's bullshit, okay? But the way that Donald Trump talks about these sorts of issues, most Americans can pick up that it's bullshit, right? Unless they're a part of the cult. So for the people that are not a part of the cult, you have to give a more intellectual spin. So the intellectualized version of that is, well, both sides actually have a lot of opportunity to go up the escalation ladder, and yet they are, weighing their options here. The American military deterrence has been spectacularly successful, and there's a blockade that has been implemented, and that is a true deterrence for Iran. And Iran is really suffering right now, and time is not on their side. When they say stuff like that, just know it's bullshit, okay? Time is not on the side of the United States of America. If the United States of America is the hegemon here, is tasked primarily with safe passage of safe transit of oil tankers through the Strait of Hormuz. If the oil tankers are not passing, every moment that passes, every moment where oil tankers are not transiting through the Strait of Hormuz unimpeded is a moment where America is the responsible party and is seen as the party to blame, and therefore it's bad for American force projection capabilities. It's bad for the relationship that we have cultivated with our allies. It's just not good at all. However, on the Iranian side has a lot more time in this game of attrition. They've been forced out of the international markets regardless by way of sanctions, and therefore they're used to eating this kind of instability, this kind of volatility.
Think that Donald Trump will be under more pressure domestically with these 60 days that he's meant to go to the Congress. He said that he doesn't have to go. Do you think that Republicans are going to start backing out with their support for a war that is not popular with lots of Americans?
Yeah, it's hard to see now. More Republicans are speaking out. Some are threatening to hold hearings, others to force a vote to try to create clarity on where certain members of the House and the Senate stand on these issues. But war powers, even though it imposes a legal obligation, has always been a political issue. And no president, Democratic or Republican, since 1973, since the passage of war powers, has agreed and complied with those terms. And it's largely because in our system, the president, unlike the Supreme Court or the Congress that goes in and out of session, the presidency never goes in and out of session. It has access to intelligence, and the Constitution gives the president extraordinary discretion and leeway with respect to foreign policy. So I don't see war powers being a hindrance. It's usually a tool that the opposing party uses to criticize the administration, or in the case of this one, you will, if the war goes on another month or two, I think you really will begin to see Republicans gin up efforts to try to pressure the administration to stop it.
What's your sense of how long this will potentially go on for and the ramifications that it has for the world economy right now?
You know, the average length of an interstate war since 1815 has been roughly 3 to 4 months. This was begun as a war of choice. Now it is a war of necessity, in large part because the Iranians have weaponized geography, forcing the closure, or at least the a sort of orchestrated effort on who gets through the straits and who doesn't. And the Americans have responded with a net of American destroyers outside the straits to block traffic. I think that the international community, though, may have to get used to the fact that returning the straits to status quo ante, where it represented an international waterway with unfettered access, I think those days may be over. Because I think the Iranians now believe they can use the straits. They don't want them closed, but they can use them for leverage and as a way to orchestrate pressure on the Gulf Straits or the Americans if necessary. So we may be in for a completely different reality if in fact this war, or when it does conclude.
And just, I have to briefly ask you while I have you, ceasefire looking increasingly fragile, also on the other front with Israel and Lebanon as well. What hope do you have that that may end soon?
Very little, unless you get a U.S.-Iranian negotiation that's serious and the Iranians begin to demand that the Israelis stand down in Lebanon, I think the president, under those circumstances, would in fact impose an end to Israel's offensive operations in Lebanon. But getting the Israelis and to give up on Hezbollah, or Hezbollah, frankly, to stand down, or the Lebanese government to disarm and forcibly demilitarize Hezbollah, it's a long way off. So I suspect that Lebanon's future is still quite grim when it comes to that Israeli-Hezbollah confrontation.
And one more assessment, actually. This pull-out decision to take 5,000 American troops out of Germany, Italy and Spain could follow. Is this a new low for US-Europe relations? Could it get any lower?
I would argue it is. And the Germans have stepped up, which is the irony here. I mean, why punish the Germans? They're actually trying to remove constraints on military spending. They've ramped up their own. They now...
It's so funny that, again, fascism is a suicidal ideology and it's self-defeating, right? And in some respects, like Trump's demand for instant gratification and the anger that he feels towards the German chancellor saying correct things about America, being humiliated here, is going to hurt America's expansive military conquest in the long run. Like, yeah, pulling out of NATO or like removing a number of troops from German soil is not something that I ever imagined would take place. But it does actually move the needle against American empire, so I'll take it. I don't have an issue with that. I think it's good. Let him do it. Take out 10,000 troops. Bring him back here. What the fuck are they doing in Germany? You know? Respect. Yeah, it's further degradation of U.S. global hegemony. It's correct. Germany is a profoundly important security partnership for America in the European Union. Any sort of friction between Germany and America that causes Germany to maintain some semblance of dignity, some semblance of sovereignty, I'll fucking take it. I think that's good. Now, of course, there's 35,000 total troops, as far as I understand, in Germany. There's like 80,000 in Korea, by the way. Let's take some out of Korea, too, while we're at it. That'd be fantastic. But yeah, you know, to take out 10,000. Why 5,000? Let's do 10. Let's do 20. Okay. Yeah, both Gulf Wars in Afghanistan wouldn't have been possible without the Ramstein Air Base is correct. It's not just the Ramstein Air Base, though. It's what that, like, what the American troop presence in, what the American troop presence in these countries actually means. It means control. It means domination, right? That is a ever-present, not so subtle threat. Now, we don't see it as such because currently, as I have repeatedly explained to you guys over and over again, we have a security cooperative agreement. We have a security, we have an understanding here, right? It's a security cooperation that we have with Germany, with all of our partners, with all of our security partners, with our 800 military bases that we know of all around the world. Now, when soft power diminishes and it's just hard power, when Trump is behaving like he is as a madman, okay, there aren't 80,000 in South Korea, more like 25,000. My mistake. I exaggerated vastly. I don't know where I got that number from. I pulled it out of my ass like the dolphin guys do. Okay. However, as I was saying, by the way, think about how insane that number is regardless. Like 25,000 troops, still insane. Oh, sorry. There's a 55,000 in Japan. There are 55,000 troops in Japan. Let's see what the number is in Korea. The number in Korea is 30,000, approximately 28,000. So with Japan and Korea, the number reaches 85,000. South Korea and Japan together come to about 85,000. So maybe that's where I pulled the number out of my ass from. Okay, so as I was saying, like close to 80,000. As I was saying, 800 military bases can turn into 800 separate invasions overnight. Okay? It's all a matter of the relationship that we have with these countries. So as long as it's positive, then we're happy, right? Everybody's happy. But if the relationship is no longer positive, it turns sour, all of a sudden, the 35,000 troops that you have in a NATO base, in a NATO facility in Germany, is now 35,000 armed combatants on enemy soil. Do you understand?
Represent the largest conventional military in Europe. They're a good ally. This is a function of an impulsive president with a very thin skin who simply can't abide criticism. And Merz fell into this. But again, I think the Europeans also have to demonstrate where they stand on these things. And opposing the Iran war is I think, important for their own credibility and for European public opinion.
Aaron David Miller, great to have your insights this weekend. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Some pretty extraordinary scenes yesterday outside the U.S. Embassy along the Malecon, that famous coastal highway here in Havana, with the Cuban government calling a march that took place there an anti-imperialist march. The government organizing that march, bringing out hundreds of thousands of Cubans to march past the U.S.
We'll talk about the Outfront report, too. This is like one of the first major reports coming from CNN.
Embassy actually ending that march right in front of the U.S. Embassy.
We'll get to that, the Iranian, the damage that U.S. bases took. And that's still a fraction of the information.
Intended to be sent to the U.S. government, that the Cuban government in its current form is here to stay. That is what the Cuban government is saying in the face of continued pressure campaign from the U.S. government. Nothing more impactful within that campaign than the oil blockade that has been going on for months now. We spent the last few days here in Havana really getting a sense of oil pressure campaign that has been going on for
swagged out, bro. Look at that buggy. That's a buggy in Cuba with the matte black. Oh my Lord, these people, man. These people, man. God, I fucking love Cuba. The Cuban people are unbelievably resilient and incredibly creative. Okay, look at that. My man slapped on the black matte, the matte black paint. Incredible.
Months now. We spent the last few days here in Havana really getting a sense of what that blockade has done to the local economy. This was an economy that was already strained. The U.S. government saying that was in large part due to Cuban government inefficiency, corruption, inept management of the economy here. But there is no question that the oil blockade imposed by the U.S. has made things worse here. Trash is piling up in the streets because trash trucks don't have enough gas to pick them up. We see rolling blackouts time and again, families forced to do homework even. We saw kids doing homework by lantern. It is a very intense situation, and the longer this country does not get the oil that it needs, the worse it gets for ordinary Cubans. The Trump administration is intent on changing the regime here in Cuba, but at least from what we've seen so far, the Cuban government does not intend to take that lying down. Rhiannon?
All right, Matt, thank you for showing us what the people there are going through.
We should just let them survive. We should just let them exist, I think.